Before I do that even, in your Schoology, you should, never mind, I didn't load that up there for you. I'll have that for you tomorrow. I want to show you where you can go to get a bunch of definitions that we use in chiropractic philosophy. Cosmology, branch of philosophy dealing with the origin and structure, the general structure of the universe, how it's made, what it's made of. Starts out thinking about the cosmos. What should you not confuse this with? Cosmetology. Okay? That's a different philosophy. That's not the whole universe. That's just, what, the fingernails and pedicures? Or hair or something? Space-time, causality, freedom. We could make gross errors in the structure of the universe. What's one structure, one major flaw that you can think of that people used to have with regards to the structure of maybe the Earth? The Earth was flat. Right? So they could think about that because when you look out at the horizon, it looks flat. So you could see why they might come to that conclusion. But that was a gross error. Right? But they found out otherwise. That's okay. As long as your thinking process can lead you to find out whether you're right or wrong, there's no problem with being wrong. Just correct it if it is. Changes and improvements in observation led to inductive methods. So what did those guys on those sailing ships do? Everybody thought they were going to sail and fall off because they couldn't see anything out there. But they actually got in the boat and sailed off. That was an inductive thing to do. Maybe not a real formal experiment, but it was an inductive experiment, like a scientific experiment. Science deals with inductive thinking. Philosophy deals with deductive thinking. Which of those do you think we'll use in chiropractic? Who said that? Why? Because we have philosophy and science in chiropractic. What's our definition of chiropractic? Philosophy, science, and art. So we're going to use both deductive and inductive thinking, which is good. You get to use both sides of your brain. One side you may be more accustomed to than the other side. Cosmology became astronomy as a science. A lot of what we have in science actually grows out of philosophy. Philosophies were there long before sciences. So different philosophers became different kinds of scientists. The naming of the stars, studying the skies. Aesthetics, taste in nature and art. When you think of aesthetics, what's a common phrase that you think of?
Aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically pleasing, which means? You like to look at it. Or it sounds good. Right? Rap music is not aesthetically pleasing to me. Right? Classic rock is aesthetically pleasing to me. Different eras, right? Different ages. Or what about beauty? What about beauty as a cliche? Where's beauty? In the eye of the beholder. You didn't know you were a philosopher, did you? If you listened to music that you thought sounded really good, you were being a philosopher. That was aesthetics. If you look at something and say, wow, that's beautiful, that's aesthetics. You're being a philosopher. You're defining what's beautiful to you in art and nature. Some people love to go, and they paint beach scenes. Other people paint mountain scenes or photograph them. Different things are beautiful to different people. Some the stars. Last quarter, everybody was out here looking at the eclipse. Everybody was snapping away pictures at the eclipse. I thought, I'll wait till somebody really good with an expensive camera gets a picture because I won't take a good one. I'll enjoy it more if I can get somebody's good picture of it. Deductive. It's still deductive. It's what you think is beautiful. You may make an adjustment into somebody's spine and go, that was beautiful right there. Somebody else might look at that and say, well, that was the same as any other adjustment. But you got a sense out of that thing, and it's like, Aesthetics actually led to math and music. According to really, really, really smart people, music is just math. So cosmology is leading us to astronomy. Aesthetics is leading us to music and math. Political theory is another branch of philosophy. How do we make a society work? That's politics. Now, you could be involved in the field of philosophy called aesthetics and never do anything with it. You just know what's beautiful and you enjoy looking at it. But if you have political thoughts, you generally tend to need to act on them. That's a philosophy that usually requires action, and that's why you go vote. To get people who represent the way that you think, or the way that you think things should be. Economic philosophies. What are different economic philosophies that we could have as humans? Good use of your resources. Should I pay taxes or not? Should I pay a lot of them or a little bit of them? Capitalism is an economic theory. Communism is an economic theory. Socialism is an economic theory. There are different economic theories. When I was working for Texaco Oil, looking at everybody getting their promotions after a certain length of time, that didn't appeal to me. My economic theory was, if I'm working hard, I want more now. I don't want to wait for it. That was my economic theory. That was a big part of me looking into chiropractic. I'm glad I learned about chiropractic, so I didn't stay there. But I still like being compensated based on how I work. Political theory leads to political ideologies, conservatism, environmentalism, socialism, liberalism, all different kinds of political theory, political ideologies. So if you have ever had political thoughts, you have been engaged in philosophical thinking. So let's back up a little bit and think about the different political ideologies in chiropractic. What do you think a conservative chiropractor would do? Just based on the word conservative. We have a conservative side of our chiropractic profession. They think you should just adjust the spine, nothing else. That's what chiropractic started out to be. What do you think the liberal side of the profession likes to do? Branch out. Adjustments, physical therapeutics, nutrition, acupuncture. The conservative side says, let's just stick with the spine. So we have political ideologies in chiropractic. This liberal side is starting to stretch now into wanting to prescribe drugs, which for 120 years, chiropractors has always said we're drug-free. So a lot of the profession is looking at this side of the profession saying, why do you want to go off and do that? We're helping people naturally. Okay, so we have different political ideologies even within our own profession. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy that deals with knowledge. How do you know something? Well, because my mother told me. My mother told me not to do that because that's bad. That's how I know that that's bad. How else could you learn something? You saw it. You saw it. And if you saw it happen, it's real. So that's how you know. That's how you learn. What happens when you mix two chemicals in chemistry lab in high school? You saw something happen. That's how you learned about chemistry. You tasted something. It tasted good, sweet, sour, salty. It tasted good. That's how you learned about the foods. Or that's how you learned how to cook or bake. By what tasted good. How else?
Trial and error, like learn from your mistakes.
Okay. Hopefully learn from other people's mistakes before you make your own. Right? But you learn from your mistakes. The experience is induction. Learning through experience or observation is induction, which lends itself to this, science. I found a technique that I can really give a good atlas adjustment. You experience that. But you learned about how to do that technique first from your teachers, who learned from their teachers. If you trace it back far enough, those teachers or you yourself looked at the anatomy of the joint surfaces. You looked at the physiology of biomechanics on how to put the correct angle of an adjustment in there. That's all inductive. Deductive thinking, just thinking about it, making sure that it's logical. Every morning, the sun comes up over there. Every morning, the sun goes down over there. Or excuse me, every evening. That would be weird if it went up and down in the morning. Right? Every evening it goes down over there. You observe that, right? What could you now think about the universe? There's order. Every morning, every evening, there's order. You just observe two things, rise and set. But your thinking is there's order in this universe. Okay? You didn't do an experiment about order. You just have a gut feeling that the universe is ordered. It's organized. You're basing that on an experience. But that assumption that everything in the universe is organized, You didn't observe everything about that, did you? You just observed one thing. Could you learn any other way? Could you learn through intuition? What is intuition?
That feeling about something.
Your gut. Right? You would think I have a lot of intuition. Big gut. What adjective do we put with the word intuition a lot? A blank intuition. A mother's intuition. The mother has an innate intuition. You usually hear about that more with moms than you do with dads. More with women than you do with guys. So she gets a feeling, she gets a sense of something going on with her child. Can she learn from that? Yeah. Check it out, see if it was right. And then you learn to check that gut instinct again the next time, right? That intuition the next time. My mother must have had eyes all over the town I grew up in. Because I would come home and she would say stuff that, how do you know that? Who ratted me out? But she just knew stuff, and she tested it by asking me, and then she learned that she was right, so she learned from her intuition. She learned to trust that intuitive feeling. Some of you may have that or develop that. Revelation, what does that mean? How do you learn? What does revelation mean? Learning from? Somehow God tells you stuff. That's a revelation. You can learn from that. These are the biggest ways that we learn as human beings. Doesn't mean they're the only ways. We study the nervous system. Epistemology, right, deals with knowledge. Well, we study the nervous system. We have knowledge of the nervous system. So does the medical doctor. They have knowledge of the nervous system. But what we do with that knowledge is different. Because the chiropractic way of thinking about the nervous system is not necessarily the medical way of thinking about the nervous system. But we both learn by studying the nervous system. When somebody suffers from pain, that's involving the nervous system. What does the medical doctor learn to do about that? What do they do for your pain? Give medicine to treat it, to turn it. Nobody's ever taken medication for pain? What does it do? Makes it stop. Turn it off. Doc, make it stop. It hurt. How do they turn off the pain? They learn the chemistry of pain, and they give you a chemical to interact with that chemistry to make the pain stop. It's called pain management. What might a chiropractor do for somebody that presents with pain?
Adjust them.
Why?
Because hopefully they can figure out what's causing the pain and realign it.
They're looking for the subluxation, which is a potential cause of that pain. The purpose is not to make the pain go away, but to get the alignment right. If the alignment is the cause of pain, the pain will go away. There's a difference between treating the effect and adjusting the cause. You're adjusting the cause of interference, not necessarily the cause of the pain. A tumor could be growing in your body that's putting pressure on a nerve, causing pain. Should you remove the tumor or take a medication? remove the source of the pain. Take the pressure off the nerve. Get rid of the tumor. So the surgeon who's doing that is actually removing the cause. So, while we're not the only field of healthcare that deals with neuroscience, we have a different way of thinking about neuroscience. And we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the different ways of thinking. Ethics is a field of philosophy. What actions or behaviors are for the good? If you ever thought about right or wrong, good or bad, you were being a philosopher. Stealing. Right or wrong? It depends. What's another choice? Wrong. What's another choice? Right. There's different choices. So, what's your first name? Topher. Since he thinks it depends, you guys want to be careful. Don't leave your stuff out when he's around. Might depend on how he's feeling that day. Speeding. Exceeding the speed limit on the highway. Right or wrong? That depends too? What does it depend on?
Low traffic, or if you just speeding past everybody.
So yeah, say you have something bleeding out of your car.
Okay. If your wife is in labor and you got to get to the hospital, you're going to speed regardless of whether it's right or wrong. But is speeding right or wrong? Right? Stealing might be wrong, but I got to put food out there for my kid. So I took some food. I know it was wrong, but I did it. You're just owning your action. But maybe it's not black and white for some people. Maybe it is gray. Well, it's okay to speed as long as I don't get caught. Because if I didn't get caught, that means I wasn't speeding. What's the standard? The sign on the side of the road. I was coming here late for an exam one time, and I came through the back way, which I had to come this way because the main way is closed. And there's a set of railroad tracks and then some houses that you have to pass, and I gunned it. And I don't know where the cop was hiding, but apparently the people in the neighborhood were complaining that everybody speeds through here. Could you do something about it? So I look in my rearview mirror, and there's the lights, and I'm already late for a test. You know, and the cop comes up to my window, license and registration. He says, "What's the rush?" I'm on faculty down at Sherman College. I'm late for an exam. I'm trying not to hold the students up. He says, "Well, you were 15 miles over the speed limit when you came across those railroad tracks." I looked at him and I said, "Officer, my tires weren't even on the road when I came over those railroad tracks." You know, because it was on a little bit of a crest like that. I mean, I was like Dukes of Hazzard. You know, and he tried not to grin, and he gave me back my license and registration. He said, "Go on, get out of here, but please slow down and be careful." Right? I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyway. Be careful of the next question. All of you who think it depends on the stealing and the speeding. Is cheating on the philosophy test right or wrong? Wrong. Good answer. Good answer. If you said it depends, I'm going to be watching you. Right? Where do we come up with the code for what's right and wrong? That goes back to where you get your morals from. You get your ethical code from some place. So there's a code someplace that has been passed down that eventually you're going to adopt, whichever one that is. That's philosophy being passed down through generations, typically through our families. Okay, we're going to come back to that later on in another topic. You guys are real quiet. Did you realize that? We did. Why do people become doctors? Are you this quiet in all your classes?
Yeah.
Why? Don't you? Yeah. You got it. You know, it's good to chatter about the topic. (1931). The United States is ranked second in overall health care, in just listing the industrialized nations. 1981, 50 years. The United States is ranked 79th out of those 81 industrialized nations. We went from second, shot right down to 79. According to the World Health Organization, which is part of the United Nations, formed in 1948. What do you think of that? You thought you lived in a pretty technologically savvy place. We got the latest, greatest things in healthcare. We consume more drugs than any other country. Did we go from 2 to 79 because other countries started to have more chiropractors than us? Big no. We have more chiropractors per capita than any other country. Why are we down?
Because we have all the latest and greatest stuff.
Maybe because we got the latest and greatest stuff. Okay? And what would that imply?
It takes the work off us. We assume there's something out there that can make it easier.
Okay. There's something out there that can fix me. I don't have to take care of myself. I can do whatever I want. When I break, I'll fix it. Which means you're just like a robot, right? You're just like the automobile. So are we just really bad and sour in our thinking? Let me try and minimize this. Some other thoughts on that. What do you think are other reasons why people think we score so low?
Obesity.
What about it?
We have one of the highest obesity rates in the world.
Okay. Come on. I can't get this. I'll post it for you later. Obesity, leading to more chronic problems. If you were to go to the United Nations website and look up the World Health Organization, you would see that we are probably better than 79, but we're not number 2. We generally tend to hang out mid-range in the 30s, the high 30s. Okay, I'll post later today something for you to look at on your Schoology, and that's where we ranked about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. You can go to the website for the UN and see if that's changed, because it should be updated by now. You know, they do that about every 10 years. When you look at the charts that I post, you'll see that I stop when I get to the United States. So it won't mean that we're last, right? Just look at the number and it gives you the rank. I just stopped showing the countries that were after us. You can look at the countries that are better than us. Okay? Sweden. Everybody rides a bicycle in Sweden. Went over there to teach them chiropractic. Everybody is riding a bicycle. So you don't see as many obese people. Probably 60% of the people riding their bicycles in Sweden, that's how they commute back and forth to work. 60% of them are smoking cigarettes while they're riding their bike. But they're thin. Amsterdam, packed with bicycles. There's a bicycle garage by the main train station in Amsterdam that has 25,000 bikes. People coming and going off and on the train. Everybody's smoking while they ride their bicycle. But they're skinny. Or they're not as big as us, maybe. But they're still missing something, right? They're still smoking like a chimney. So I don't get that. So look at the grids that I post on infant mortality. What is the chance that a baby has to survive when it's born here in the United States compared to other countries? Death rate. Life longevity. What's your average lifespan in the United States if you were born today? Right? We're in about the middle of the pack on that, around 35, 36 place. Right? So look at some of the current numbers and ask yourself, what would it take for us to be healthier? Is it just because we wait till we break to fix ourselves? What would be the difference between Sweden and Amsterdam or U.S.? Their culture is built more for the bike. We are a nation that's been built on the automobile. The automobile. We like the freedom to get out of town and get there fast. Well, we could take the light rail like they have in a lot of European cities. We could have the super fast trains like they have in China. They have cars, but they got these trains that pack people on and can get you out of there quick too. You have to start moving towards the door on the train in Beijing, China. 3 stops before you stop. Because there's no empty space between you and the door. And you just push. You can't be bashful. You have to push your way through people to get to the door, or you're not going to make it. They'll be off to the next stop. And everybody expects to be pushed. And it's a very polite pushing. It's not like New York City pushing. Right? Everybody expects it. We're looking and we're trying to think, okay, we know what street we need. My wife and I said, how are we going to get there? Look at all these people. So I just grabbed her hand and said, come on, let's go. And we started pushing, and 3 stops later, we were finally by the door. But people are coming in, people are going out. Right? But people are walking in China. They do a lot of walking. They eat a lot of vegetables. We eat a lot of Twinkies. I eat a lot of M&Ms. Right? Why are we not number 1? Maybe you don't want your community to be number 1 in healthcare, but you would like them to be healthier. I'm thinking that has something to do with why you chose chiropractic. Okay? Most overweight people know they're overweight, but they don't know that they could have nerve interference. Most people that are eating unhealthy probably know they could be eating healthier, but nobody's told them yet about chiropractic. So we're going to look at, in your 3.5 years here, could people actually be better off and healthier if they don't have subluxation interference in their spine? If you think that and you adjust them, then you've helped them to be healthy. What have you done for their family? To be healthy. What have you done for their community? To be healthy. How big do you see the picture? That's what we're going to focus on next. See you tomorrow.